We all handle what we can handle as we need to handle it. At some point, however, you're going to have to come to terms with making all your effort and the effort of the people that you work with make a certain amount of money. Trust me, you already know this anyway. You can work just as hard and be just as busy and be swamped and not make the money that you need as you will be when you set your goals and your priorities proper. Same amount of effort, more money, right? So it's a matter of not mistaking activity for accomplishment. The first thing I need you to do is to know what your numbers are. So I just talked to somebody this morning, for example, whose wife is working a second job, and I'm sure it's very rewarding and she enjoys it. But I got the feeling from them that they'd really like to be working on the school primarily, but as things were, it just wasn't possible at this moment. But that they'd like to work in that direction. Well, having your wife quit her job and come to work at the dojo because she's qualified and wants to has a certain amount of money attached to it. And that has to be worked in the plan because in most cases, you're going to support your school based on a certain amount of students paying a certain amount of tuition. And that tuition, based on how many people you can fit in your school and your schedule, has to pay for everything. And so we better figure out what that is. What is the number? What is the break even? What is the good? And what would be the great income? And then you have to be able to have a dialogue with me, and I have to feel comfortable as I give you advice that you have done your own numbers. Because if you have a trust fund or another business, or you don't pay a mortgage because you live in a house that's free and clear, all those things. Oh, here's the other one. If you have 4 children, if you have no children, right? Double income, single income, all those things affect your bottom line. So you can't really compare what you make or spend to somebody else who's not even in the same financial bracket or doesn't have the same expenses. You have to figure out your numbers, and you have to be able to say to me, Tom, these are my numbers. And I'll say, did you think of this? And you say, yeah, I thought of that. Get in taxes? Yeah. Second staff member, third staff member, what they're going to want to make down the road? Yeah, I've got that figured in too. And here's how the calculations work. And I'll listen and I'll say, hey, sounds like you've done all your homework. What you're telling me is we have to figure out how to make the machine of your school make this much money. And of course, you and I will look at that number and we'll say, well, $1 million a day, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know anybody who's done that in a martial arts school. Let's try to rethink our goals or look at how many locations we could have to have before you could possibly make $1 million a day. Sometimes the number that you need to make your machine work and everything around it isn't that much. It's actually realistic, and it can be supported by a fair and manageable amount of students paying a certain amount of money. You have to know what those numbers are. It's not my thing. I can't compute that because you have your own dreams, your own expenses, your own ambitions. So let's put those numbers down. That's your first reminder.